Alright, so we're looking at installing the Falcon Player. First thing obviously you need is a Raspberry Pi. This is a Pi 3 Model B. If you haven't seen one, this is what they look like. They have an Ethernet port, some USB ports, and of course here on the very bottom is the SD port. You'll need a power supply to power it up. You need a USB drive, and this is a 16 gig SanDisk. And then you need a SD card, a micro SD card. And then this is the bigger case so I can plug into my computer. So first thing we're going to do is format our SD card. Alright, so we've inserted our SD card into our computer and we have the SD formatter tool open. It's picked the right card. We're going to overwrite it and we can give it a name if we want it. I'm going to call it FPP. And then you just click format. Now this is going to take a fair bit of time to do, so we won't sit here and watch this, but this will take a while before it's done. And then after we format it, we'll load our Falcon image on it. Alright, now that we have our SD card formatted, we've went out and downloaded the FPP zip file, and then we've extracted it into this folder. Now this is all the files that you need to put onto the SD card you just formatted. Let's try that again. You can see this is about a good half a gig plus that's going to get copied over here. So once we get these files copied, we're going to install our SD card into our Raspberry Pi, and then we're going to plug it in, and that will load the Falcon Player onto the system. So once these files get transferred over, we'll install the card and plug it in. So we'll do that next. Alright, so we've inserted our USB drive in, and then on the back is the SD card that we just formatted, inserted into the back. We've installed a USB mouse. We have an HDMI cord going out to a TV real quick. And then this is the power cord that we showed earlier. And then all we have to do is plug this in and we should get an install to start. And if you watch the screen here, you'll see that the Raspberry software is going to load up. And the reason we have the mouse plugged in is we're going to have to accept something here in a little bit. Alright, and after we waited a little bit of time, you can see that the loading's finally done, and then it just comes to this screen asking for your login. So what we're actually going to do next is power this down and actually plug it into a computer to set up the FPP. Alright, so we've taken our Raspberry Pi and I took a network cable and I plugged it into just my router, Wi-Fi router. It's the easiest way. And then all I can do is type in FPP in my web browser and it brings it up. And this is the screen you should get if everything's installed correctly. And then in here you can go in, and probably the first thing you want to do is set up your network. If you're going to use your Wi-Fi settings, this is where you'd put them in. This would be your Wi-Fi settings that you'd put in, whatever your password is or anything like that. If you wanted to give it a static IP address, you can give it static IP addresses and things like that. There's a display testing section in here if you wanted to do just enable a test mode and let it do just a RG and a B test through your lights to make sure everything's wired up correctly. You can do that. I just caution you, if you had power settings different on your controller or anything like that, and you in X lights or something you reduced your power, just be careful. This will go with what your controller says, not what X light says. You can set up your channel outputs out here if you wanted to change your interface to, if you had a controller plugged in, it's going to say ETH0:0, and that's where you would want to add in some things. But if you had a 16 channel controller, for example, you would set it up by that, and then you'd hit save and it would do it. Over here you can see I've set up, I'm going to put a pi hat on this particular controller, so I've set up 120 pixels in each of the strings coming out of a pi hat. So, but that's kind of a quick crash course on setting up channels. You have a file manager out here too, so this is where you would upload your files, your sequence files once you created them, and then you would come in here and create playlists where you could create a new playlist and add in your different files that you've added that way. And then you'd have a scheduler out here too, so if you wanted to add in different days of the week, you can come in and just set up every day. If you want a different show every day, you could certainly do that. Easy enough. And various different things, and then what time they start and stop. You could easily set that up in here too. And it is a 24-hour clock in here, so if you're not used to military time, you'll need to get used to it for this. But other than that, that's kind of a crash course in getting Falcon Player installed and then setting it up briefly here. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave some comments down below and we'll try to help you out.